Welcome back to This is Baseball. Happy September. It's crunch time for Major League Baseball and all the teams that are in the middle of trying to make the playoffs, whether they're trying to solidify their division or just stay in and grab a wild card team. There's a lot going on this month. I do want to start talking Royals. There's a lot of panic going on around Kansas City amongst Royals fans, and I'm here to say that you should relax. The Royals are clearly playing their worst baseball of the season. They're in the middle of a 6-game losing streak that they can hopefully snap against Cleveland tonight. They are currently sitting 4.5 games behind Cleveland after crawling all the way back and tying Cleveland last Wednesday for the division lead. A lot has happened since then. The Royals, like I said, they've been on a 6-game losing streak, and they're 4.5 games back of Cleveland. They are currently the third wild card team, and they're 4.5 games ahead of Boston. And the nice thing about the Royals losing streak is that Boston has really not done a lot of winning either, and the Royals haven't really lost any ground on them. They've lost ground on the Twins and Guardians, obviously, but there's just over 20 games to play, so I don't think that there's a lot of panicking that needs to happen. I know that it's been an unfortunate stretch. You've had, most notably, Vinny Pasquantino go down 6 to 8 weeks, broken thumb on a really unfortunate play that also injured Lucas Erceg. Hunter Harvey, who you also picked up at the trade deadline, has not really done anything in a Royals uniform, and you're hoping to get him back. Michael Lorenzen got hurt trying to stretch at first base, covering first base on a double play, and Hunter Renfroe's injured. You picked up Yuli Gurriel for some depth in the absence of Vinny Pasquantino. He left the game with a hamstring injury, so really just not a lot has gone right. But I know that Vinny Pasquantino is one of the top run producers for the Royals and all of Major League Baseball, but there's a lot of other guys on the team that can pick up the slack. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. is there, Salvador Perez, and then I think the depth that you picked up with Tommy Pham, who the Royals wanted to get at the trade deadline, but the Cardinals got him. Cardinals slid. They're no longer contenders. Tommy Pham asked to be waived so he could be with a contender, and here he sits with the Kansas City Royals currently. And I'm super excited about Tommy Pham because Tommy Pham brings a fire and brings an energy to this dugout, to this clubhouse that I don't think the Royals currently have on the roster. They don't have that Mike Moustakas. They don't have that Yordano Ventura type of fire where they're just ready to go. They have that kind of energy and, they'll go after anybody. I think Tommy Pham can be that player that, maybe he's not going to have huge contributions from a production standpoint, but he can be kind of the energy and the rally guy, the guy that they can get behind and really bring something a little different to the team in addition to what they already have. I think continuing to talk about additions, I would be irresponsible of me if I didn't talk about Paul DeJong, and the Royals grabbed him from the White Sox at the trade deadline. He's been fantastic. He's been everything you've probably wanted in that transaction and more. Seems to be just getting timely hits over and over again. But I guess that was a long-winded way of saying that I think the Royals are going to be all right. I think they're going to make the playoffs now. Whether that's winning the division at this point, that's tough to do, but I don't think that they're going to slide out of the playoff picture. They have this series that they got to finish up against Cleveland. They've already won the season series against Cleveland. They do play Minnesota this weekend, and they have not matched up well with Minnesota at all. So that's going to be an important series. They got to win it. They got to take 2 out of 3 at least. And then they go play New York, and you gotta play tough against New York. You can't get swept by New York. I think you gotta find a way to win that series, but don't get swept. That's what I'm asking there, because then you lighten up a little bit. You get San Francisco, you get Washington. I think they play Detroit again, and then you end the season against Atlanta. But important games coming up. Don't fold. Figure out how to get out of this losing streak, and I think you're going to be fine, because Boston is the team behind you, and Boston doesn't have an easy look the rest of the way either. I'll go over that here. So Boston, they're currently playing the Mets. The Mets are in playoff contention. They're having a pretty good season. Boston already lost last night. They're losing by 5 currently as I'm recording this episode. They get to play the White Sox. Obviously, the White Sox are basically free wins at this point, so they'll probably take 2 out of 3, likely sweep the White Sox. But then they play Baltimore, they play New York, and then they play Tampa. Now, Boston's actually winning currently the season series versus the Yankees and the Rays right now. They're up 5-4, or their record's 5-4 against the Yankees this year, and it's also 5-4 against the Rays. So currently, head-to-head, they're ahead of both of those teams, but I think the Yankees in September is going to be really tough, especially coming off of an Orioles team that is fighting neck and neck with the Yankees to win the American League East. And then they have to play the Twins. And the Twins have a lot of work they're trying to get done too. The Twins still feel like they have a shot at the division. They obviously want to hold on to a playoff spot. And those head-to-head games against Boston are going to be very important because they don't want to find themselves on the outside looking in. But my point is, I think while the Royals have a pretty tough schedule over the next 9 days that aren't favorable for them, Boston, the team right behind them in the wild card race, doesn't have it very easy as well. Just, again, they're looking to lose 2 out of 3 against the Mets, and Orioles 4 against the Yankees, and the Rays and Twins. Get a break against the Blue Jays, and then close the season against the Rays again. So I feel very confident looking at what the team that's chasing the Royals and the Boston Red Sox and seeing what they have to deal with. I feel confident that the Royals can snap out of the skid that they're in, right the ship. I know that September is not the best time. In fact, it's probably the worst time to start playing your worst baseball that you've played all season long. 6 games is the longest losing streak that you've had all season, which honestly, that shocked me when I learned that they hadn't even gone on a 5-game losing streak, because I've just been accustomed to the Royals going on, 1, maybe 2 10-game losing streaks a season. So it was nice that it took them to September to even go on a 5-game losing streak. So got to get past that, and I think they will, and I think that the Royals will be in the postseason for the first time since 2015. So calm down, Kansas City. So I want to move on and still talk a little bit of Royals news. Now, it is Royals news, but it isn't coming from the Royals. So obviously, John Sherman, owner of the Royals, has been very vocal about him wanting to build a new stadium downtown. And, there was a very big vote that happened in April that, the city and county said no to the Royals Stadium and the new Royals Stadium in the Crossroads and the upgrades at Arrowhead Stadium. So, and there have been a few renderings that have come out since then from architects and just other developers that are concepts that aren't coming from the Royals, but I always think they're kind of fun, whether they hold any weight or not. One that's come up recently over the last couple of weeks is a proposal from a group called 3D Development. Again, not from the Royals, and it would be a downtown stadium in Washington Square Park. over near Union Station and the World War I Museum. So some things that stick out about this particular spot is that this place wouldn't displace any businesses or homes. It would be facing north. You'd have a nice view of the skyline facing north. There's apparently 19,000 parking spots within a 4-block radius of this proposed site by 3D development. And looking at their kind of renderings, looks pretty similar to what current Kaufman is now. They have a crown vision in center field like you have now, and then a nice view of downtown facing north. Now, again, there's been no endorsement from the Kansas City Royals on this potential spot. I don't even think that Jackson County has acknowledged this, but I always think it's fun to see new ideas come about, like the one a few months ago about a Royals stadium being built on state line, where the stadium kind of faces east, and the whole thing was you could hit a home run in Kansas and the ball could land in Missouri. So there's been a lot of unique ideas, a lot that I think are fun. I don't think the Royals are going to say anything about the potential new stadium until after the playoffs, because I think at this point they have their sights set on the field product of them potentially being a playoff team for the first time in 10 years and completing a completely historic turnaround for being a 56-win team to a most likely 90-win plus team. But I think after that, you're going to start to hear more conversations about potential spots for the Royals, and I still firmly believe that they're going to figure out how to be in downtown Kansas City. It's just a matter of where. I don't think they're going to Kansas. I don't think they're going to Nashville like a lot of people think that they're going or keep saying they're going. But again, these renderings were just a concept by a development firm, not endorsed by the Royals. And I think it's smart for the Royals to kind of lay low and just let the team and the performance that they put on this season speak for themselves and not be a distraction to that, because I think we're going to have plenty of time in the offseason to be talking both Kansas City Chiefs, potential new landing sites, and Kansas City Royals, because I think we're going to hear from both of those teams in the coming months. And as always, I will cover that when I know about it and give you the information that I can. But that is all I have this week on This Is Baseball. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week, where we'll have a much clearer picture of what the playoffs are going to look like and be set up for a fun final 2 weeks of the season.